Hi everyone, Rachel from North Brisbane Psychologists. I always make a list of things that I want to make videos about, which are really interesting topics, and then I end up making videos mostly about what is on my mind because of a session that I've had with a client. Or like today, a few clients where the topic of assertiveness came up. And assertiveness training, and even the word assertiveness, seems to have gone out of fashion a little bit. I don't hear it talked about as much as it, maybe was in the 90s when communication training was a big thing. But I still see quite a clear pattern in people's lives of pendulating, which means like a pendulum, swinging between being submissive and being aggressive. And I think this happens because nobody showed us how to walk that middle line of assertiveness, which to me means honoring my feelings and needs while also honoring the other person's feelings and needs, which sounds really simple, but is difficult in practice if we grew up in a family where we were ignored or neglected, where our feelings and needs didn't matter, where they were suppressed, crushed, pushed down, or we didn't know what to do with our feelings. No one showed us what to do with them, and so we ended up numbing them, shutting them down. And of course, you can see why that would lead to submissive patterns of behavior in people's lives. But if the pressure of suppressing your own feelings and needs builds up enough, all of us will, at some stage, somehow pendulate to the other side of the equation and end up being aggressive in some way, even if it's passive aggressive, feeling this anger and aggression and doing little subtle, more passive things to express it. I think we've all experienced passive aggression, but it's like the pressure builds up from suppressing our own feelings and needs for long enough that it has to out. It needs a release somehow. And eventually people figure out that submitting and aggressing both don't work very well. I had a client this morning who's just realizing, even though he's a very successful, strong kind of character, realizing that for many, many years he used the word compromise. And I said, well, it's like you suppressed or submitted to other people's expectations and squashed down his own core feelings and core values in order to do the right thing, stay in connection with others. And it's understandable, of course, we've all done that. But eventually the resentment builds up, which I define as I have unmet needs and now I'm blaming someone else for those unmet needs. That's what resentment is to me. And the pressure and the resentment builds up and we end up aggressing. We end up losing our temper, getting really angry and staying resentful, reinforcing the resentment. So, I think resentment is a really interesting, and aggression, which can often flow from resentment, is a really interesting thing to explore within ourselves, because if at the root of it is that I have unfulfilled needs and frustrated values, and now I'm blaming someone else for that, I'm taking that out on someone else in some way, I need to figure out what my unmet needs are. The responsibility must fall onto me to explore what those values and unmet needs are so that I can start to wonder about how I can express them, how I can meet them, how I can take care of myself so I don't keep the resentment going and building the resentment. So neither submissiveness nor aggression or aggressing seem to work well in relationships. You all know this. So that hard middle path that you want to tread of being assertive really requires that you identify your needs. And if you're not very good at identifying your needs, my suggestion is this. Look up a body of work called nonviolent communication. I know I've spoken about it a couple of times before, NVC or nonviolent communication, the founder of which is Marshall Rosenberg. It's been a fantastic body of work for myself and many people I know to do the simple but profound work of learning how to identify what you're feeling and identify what you're needing. This is actually at the core of many therapies. It's at the core of some of the Gottman method, teaching couples to express what they feel and what they need instead of engaging in criticism and defensiveness and contempt and blame. It's at the core of many therapies that are about healing trauma and past wounds, is identifying the needs, what we needed in the past and we didn't get, and contemplating how we can stay with, connected with, and support our own needs now. Any good therapy, in my view, this might be contentious, has a strong focus on universal human needs. And certainly that is a requirement to be assertive, as well as authentic. Assertiveness is not aggression. Assertiveness is not about being forceful with your opinions. That is not assertiveness. I see that as aggressiveness. It's about honoring my needs, honoring your needs, being interested in my feelings and being interested in your feelings. This is a skill set that we need to learn. And if we don't have it, there's heaps of resources, and there are people out there like psychologists who can help you learn it. To me, submission is flight. It's running away. It's running away from yourself as well as from conflict. And aggression is fight. That's a pretty obvious one, isn't it? So flight and fight. But this middle path of assertion is a skill set. It's not an instinctive thing. It doesn't come easily to most people. It's hard. Being assertive, learning how to be more assertive, to be skillful in this area is hard. But not learning how to be assertive is also hard. Vacillating between submission and aggression, feeling shut down and feeling angry and hypervigilant, living like that is also really hard. So do the hard work of getting focused on your own needs, finding ways to express them, and learning how to be assertive in your life. All right, well, I'll answer any questions you have below, but that's all for now. And until next time, bye.